I would like to just mention this based on what you just stated about climate change, and also you and I talked about the Queen Quet Datas in Houston, so I know Texas pretty well. Been to Del Rio, but I go to Brackettville a lot. And one of the things that concerned me was the tremendous drought in Brackettville, to the point where I was crossing bridges and looking for water, and there was no water there anymore. And I would often say, I wish I could be like Bewitched and twink my nose and bring people from the Gullah Geechee Nation to these places that we take for granted all the water we have. But now we went from a drought to a deluge of rain in the past 2 weeks. So food security is a major issue, because when we have these massive rains that are happening, sea level rise is already here, then we have these rains. Now it's nearing and part of harvest season. Protecting that and weighing all of that in a balance, I think, is critical. So these things, of course, tied to cultural heritage and the sustainability of cultural heritage. So what is it that you're going to do? If you are the President of the United States, what is it that you're going to do that's going to help with these issues, in addition to what you already outlined about climate change and the prevention of offshore drilling, that will protect food security and cultural heritage, and be able to have people remain where they are, place-based people like Gullah Geechees, because people always say, well, you can always retreat, you can move. I said, the only retreat we want is to relax at the spa. We're not leaving the coast. So what is it that you will put forth in that effort for food security and cultural heritage continuation?
Queen Quet, you described the problem of both too much and not enough. In Houston, where we celebrate Queen Quet Day every single year, in 2017, we saw 58 inches of rain from a single storm, which is the landfall record for all of recorded history in North America, and also was the third 500-year flood in that one community. People had not yet finished rebuilding from the last flood before the next one hit. And in that same state, as you just described, you have farmers who seek to persist through historic droughts. And our ability to grow our own food, and in Texas, the cotton capital of the world, the ability to grow our own fiber to feed and to clothe us is severely compromised. And then you add to the challenges that we face here of sea level rise. So you ask, how do we meet this challenge? How do we get to the goals that Vanity described of net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, getting us halfway there by 2030? First and foremost, to your excellent question, is we put those communities who are first in line to take the impact of climate change and pollution, first in line for federal support to harden them and make sure that they are ready to persist and survive the next man-made, human-made disaster of climate change. That's an investment in infrastructure. It's an investment in water. We know that throughout South Carolina, there are communities where it is not safe enough to drink the water today. Across this country, whether it is Flint, Michigan, or the Central Valley of California, that will require billions of dollars of investment. As president, I will make sure that we make that investment. Also in the infrastructure that protects communities from sea level rise, from flooding, ensures that we have the water resources for those who attempt to be able to grow this food and fiber through historic droughts. And then we fully embrace renewable energy, and we relieve ourselves from a dependence on fossil fuels and ensure that those high-wage, high-skill, high-growth jobs in solar and wind are those jobs that define the American future and allow us to lead globally on this challenge. And then lastly, I want to make sure that we understand the opportunity that rural communities and farmers hold for making sure that we lead on this issue. Paying farmers for environmental services like planting cover crops that pull more carbon out of the air, precision and no-till farming to disturb less of the carbon in the soil, sustainable agricultural practices. That's not just good for the soil and our waters, it's good for this planet, and it allows us to meet our obligations to the next generation. In other words, if all of us do all that we can, don't meet this by half steps or half measures or only half the country, I'm confident that we'll be able to meet this challenge and make those descendants who follow us, and we were talking about this at the outset, make those descendants who follow us proud of what we've been able to do, just like we feel the pressure to be able to deliver on the inspiration that we feel from those who preceded us. So Thank you for asking the question. Appreciate it.